Yes. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Hey, it is your Auntie August. And once again, we are back. It is Thursday. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are what? On the Power Influence radio TV show off of the Daily Faith Network. So, hey y'all, how y'all doing? We back again this week. And today, listen, I have been anticipating today since I met this young lady. So let's get right into it. Today, our special guest, isn't she lovely? We have here Mikaela Nix. My bad, let me get it right. Judge Mikaela Nix. How are you, beautiful?
I am doing amazing and so excited to be here today. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So how we doing here on the Just Being August show is, did I say that? Y'all know it is. We Just Being August today. How we doing on here is I like for the guests to introduce themselves. I like for you to tell me who you are, because it always hits different when we hear it out of our own mouth and our own ears. So go ahead and let the audience know whom you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Mikaela Nix. I am a God-fearing Christian. I am a wife. I am a mother. And I am a circuit judge here in Orange and Osceola County. I am humbled to be in the presence of such amazing people and the podcast today. Rednecks come in all colors. I'm from a small town outside of Micanopy called Rochelle. My family has been here since 1887. My great-grandfather, 5 times removed, put up a church, and our church has been up for about 139 years, almost 140 years. When he was freed, the very first thing he said was he was going to have his own name, and the only 3 letters he knew how to write was H-A-L, so our name is Hall, and that is different from the enslavement name that we had at first. And then he erected a church, and that church has been around. I got married in that church. Children were baptized in that church right outside of Rochelle. Horses and cows and cattle. Spring is in the air. We just had 17 new calves.
Really?
So super excited. But I did go to school in Miami-Dade County, and I went to an art school, and then I went to University of Central Florida. Go Knights.
Okay.
Always about the U. Then I went to Florida A&M College of Law.
Get them all out.
Right here in Orlando. So this is home for me. I've been here for over 25 years. I'm a community advocate, and I just love the Central Florida community.
Thank you for that. That's a bomb introduction.
Thank you.
I couldn't have did that justice at all. So let me go back to your story. First of all, you on a farm.
Yes.
Really? How do you know how to milk a cow and all of that good stuff?
So we don't do dairy. We do beef.
Oh.
So we have beef cattle. And so my family has been ranchers for quite some time. My dad, in fact, is the president of the Black Farmers Association for the North Florida Central
I know,
chapter.
that's right.
So, we riding horses. I've been on a horse since, I don't know, I was 0, 2 months. Same thing as my daughter. And my nephew right now is at the University of Florida. He is in agricultural management. He'll be taking over the farm. It's a stigma with Black farming. When we talk about farming in the African American community, it immediately goes to like slavery or cotton or things of that nature. Just something that was, mentally kind of put into us. Yeah. But that's just like the opposite. African Americans have been a huge contributor to the ranching development for a very, very long time. And you will always hear me say ranching because cowboy was something that they used to call the Black cowboys.
Really?
And they would call the historically Caucasian ranchers. And it would be cowboy was actually a more derogatory term. It was meant for African Americans who were helping wrangle the cattle and things like that, and they would be called the cowboys, while some of the others would be called ranchers. And so you don't really hear me say cowboy a lot, just because I was raised not to say that.
Listen, that is history right there. From a person who had grandfather and my dad, a real big old history, cowboy movies is what we call them. For me to actually know that terminology, Thank you for that history and that Black history.
Definitely.
I think that we all need to always tap into history. I'm not really a history buff, but growing up, my mom made a really point of watching Roots and all of that. In our history is based on where we came from, and to hear you say ranchers, when in my mind, I'm thinking, well, that's where we came from. Picking cotton, that's part of farming. So I appreciate that. But you're historically historical. I'm gonna use that today. I'm using some good words, y'all. I'm not gonna make up too many of my own words, but you're really historically historical. You come from a family of first timers. Y'all have a farm. I can't say anybody that I know who's done that. Not only that, you are now a circuit court judge. If I'm wrong, correct me, please.
Oh, you're right.
But you are the am I right? First Black woman
to win a contested race, correct, in the Orange and Osceola area, which is the Ninth Circuit. So we had one in 1991, which was Judge Belvin Perry.
Okay.
He was the first African-American male to win a contested race here in Orange and Osceola County. And in the year 2020, all that time later,
Right.
we've gotten our first females. And that is with another judge who also ran with me at the same time, Judge Collins. And so we became both of us that year, the first African-American women to win a contested race here in the Ninth Circuit. So pretty exciting stuff that took place in the year of 2020.
How does that make you feel? Like, as a little girl, and I know you come from a prominent family, but and you're young, so, and I understand that you're, old, but you're, as far as being a judge, you're at the youth age of it, because there's a lot of them, they're older, but you're young, you're a Black woman. How does that make you feel from being, at this age in life, looking at your younger self?
I mean, obviously, I think that it is time. It has been time, and that's why I ran. I didn't see too many people that kind of looked like me on the bench, and I wanted some diversity. And diversity is not always just in color, right? Diversity can be in culture, diversity can be in age, diversity can be in gender. And so looking back almost now, 6 years ago, pretty exciting times. I think that we are just advanced. The Ninth Circuit is just amazing. We are encompassed of many women, one of the most circuits out of the 20 circuits that has so many women. Our chief judge is actually the first elected woman who is our chief here in the Ninth. So just so many exciting things that took place in the year of 2020. And now looking back in the year of 2026, man, I've accomplished a lot. And all of that is through God. The very first thing you heard me say is that I'm a God-fearing Christian, and I think that has helped me move along and many obstacles that I've faced, and just having him behind me, you can do anything. Literally, you can do anything.
Right. And you know what? So just in August, we were on the Power Influence Radio, and Power Influence Radio is a Christian platform. I always waver between Christian and faith, Christianity. Right. I was born and raised in the church. I'm not in church now. My church closed back during COVID, and I was a very advocate person in my church and carried a role. But now I'm more so of, I'm a believer. I'm still a Christian, but I believe my faith is different than the Christian part. But definitely without God, I wouldn't even be sitting here. With that being said,
and I want to chime in on that. Yes. I agree with that. The word Christian and Christianity, just because I am a history major, that's my minor. I was a political science major and history minor. So when I say Christianity can mean a lot to different people, right? The ideology, though, of the Christianity, especially in African Americans, because that may not have been something that we identified with earlier prior to our enslavement, is the believement in a higher power that is not you. Amen. And so for me, that is Jehovah, but it could mean many things for different people, and identifying that you aren't the person that does everything. And if you think that, then you may run into some trouble later on when you have to identify when troubles come, what happened and why me. And so I think that you are 100% correct when we talk about just a believer of faith. And so when I say that word Christianity, I really want to make sure that I am being transparent when I say that, because that can mean a lot of different people, and depending on what time you're talking about in historical context, that can mean a lot of different things. So I also want to agree that that's the believer in faith.
Wow. I say thank you so much for breaking that down for me, and to everybody else, because it's always, when they look, especially us being a black African American descendant and so forth, people look at us and we say, oh, well, I'm a believer, or I believe in higher. They're like, but, aren't you a Christian? But, if you really go and analyze it, and I'm not a Bible thumper, I say it all the time, and I'm not a theologian. But,
Me neither.
Oh, right. But if you look at it, Christianity, I feel like come from something more. You go all the way back to the Catholics. I feel like that's the Christianity, if that makes sense, because they built this Christian faith based off a book, and they got the Mary hanging up on the little thing, she bleeding and stuff, and all this. So I think as I got older, I got a different look on it. I'm more so now spiritually. Like, I know what I am when I'm not having my relationship with God. I know how I am when I'm with my relationship with God, because it wavers, it wavers with time. We should keep it every day, but I know what it does for me. Now, for you and how you break it down, how does that faith that you have, your Christianity, how does that mold you with what you do every day for a job? You are on a bench making decisions for people's lives. How does that keep you grounded on the bench and off the bench?
Well, definitely. And it comes from your faith, but it also just comes from a sense of integrity. And so you have to be able to know your own moral compass. And I think that's very important. So when you're making decisions that are going to be affecting people, whether or not I was in criminal, and so I'm a circuit judge. So you're talking felonies, you're talking rape, you're talking murder. I am death penalty certified. So you're talking about really major decisions. You have to be able to know the law. And so we talk about your faith and all of those things, and that's great. But I also keep grounded in knowing the law. And the law is what dictates for me where I can go and where I can't. Grounded, obviously, in, morals and things of that nature. But it's more just about the law. I'm not a legislator. I don't make the law. I'm not in the executive branch, right? I don't carry out the law. My job is to interpret the law. So I can't change the law. What I can do is I can look at that statute, I can look at what is there, and then I can make decisions based off of the law. So I want to make sure that it's not a faith thing, it's not a feeling. It really is just the law, and that's where I have to look at first, and that's where I go. Now, that interpretation comes from a variety of different ways, and that's why it's important to vote. It's important to know who your representatives are, because that interpretation part is going to come from their own personal backgrounds and their own understandings. But it always starts, or it should start, for a circuit judge or any type of judge, with the law.
Okay. What made you want to become a judge? Or was it something that you kind of just fell into? Because I don't even I'm a decision. No, I'm not even going to lie like that. I'm not. Listen, when I tell you I'm the most undecisive person ever. So listen, when I tell you I love court TV, I love the CSI, all of them. And I know it's different from reality, because when I got to go to traffic court, it looks nothing like it do on TV, honey.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, how can you? And I've had some bad judges in my days by going. Now, I'm not a criminal, y'all. Like, I'm just saying, like, I lived in Nevada, and in Las Vegas, they actually had literally traffic court, and you would have to go in there, and you would have to sit, and you would have, sometimes it would be traffic stuff. You're like, for real, you did that? So, like, depending on the day, depending on the judge, I'm like, did he have his coffee this morning, or did he not get none last night? Like, I'm like, I couldn't figure it out, because you pay this. Like, dang. So how did you, or how can you, or how do you sit there every day and make these decisions on people's future? Well, and and just do it gracefully and without emotion. Not like you don't have emotion, but like not having that emotional attachment, like, this is my job and I have to do it.
Well, I wanted to become a judge because I was a lawyer first, and that's how you have to be a lawyer before you can be a judge. And I remembered when I was small, my dad took me into a courtroom, and he let me see. It was his jury duty. He let me see. He had a friend that was a judge, and so I got to go back in the chambers, and the judge was hilarious, and I was like, wow, I could do this.
Right.
And then fast forward a couple years, I became a lawyer, and then just sitting as a lawyer and coming in and out of the courtroom, it just reminded me of what I wanted to do when I was younger. And then, as I told you before, I really believe that everyone has different experiences, and I really needed to see a different diversity as far as experiences on the bench. And I'll give you an example where some people may start at the premise of, in virtual hearings. Now we've gone from COVID, things are online. You can actually go online and have some of your hearings, like virtual hearings.
Okay.
That wasn't a big thing prior to COVID. After COVID, the court system had to continue to keep moving, right? And you couldn't come in. So a lot of the hearings became virtual. Well, many people start at, okay, we're going to have a virtual hearing. I start at, well, maybe someone doesn't have a cell phone. Maybe someone doesn't have the ability to get on a computer. Everyone doesn't have these apparatuses that we just take for granted for some of us. Some people don't have the ability to get on the internet. You know, there are some phones that don't have internet capabilities. There are some people who may not financially have the means to pay a monthly bill, and so they are on a prepaid service. Or there's some people that don't have a laptop. There are some people that don't have internet in their homes. And so just having differences in ideology, differences in backgrounds, I believe it's important. Differences in experience to bring. And so I think as a judge, having so many different experiences, it really helps me make decisions. As I told you before, grew up on a farm, grew up in Miami, two different cultures, right? Young as far as time-wise in comparison to some of the other judges. And so now you have the millennial take on things, being an African-American woman, being a mother. There's just so many experiences that I believe that I have that make me a good judge, that are able now that I can pull from. I always tell people that a good judge has tools in their toolbox that will help the community. You will hear me say that on a day-to-day basis. You'll see me on my Facebook. I say that all the time. You have to have tools in your toolbox to help you, even as a mother, even as a wife, even as a business partner. When things go left, what do you have to bring you back on track? What experiences can you pull from that would aid many people? And I think that I do that very well.
Awesome. So as a judge, what makes your job, I'm going to go with the hard question. What makes your job hard being a judge?
Oh, man. I would say that question will be different depending on what division I'm in. Right now, I'm in domestic. And so I think just being able to see the best interest of the children, sometimes when you're in such an emotional situation, I find that some of the parents are not necessarily looking at the best interest of their children at that time because they're in a moment of turmoil. They're in an emotional moment. And so that is hard for me. It's hard for me to see kids being affected, children being affected by emotional bases of adults. And they can't do anything about it.
They don't have a voice.
They don't have one at all. And I'm their voice. I'm their voice.
And you speak for them.
Yes, I speak for them. I always remind parents that there's an elephant in the room and that person is not here. And we need to think about that person at all times. And so I often do that. I also remind them of the 6x8, 2x3. Your kids are at lunch every day. They can't, if they have a bad day as an adult, we can say, hey, I want to go in my cubicle. I want to go in my car. I don't want to come to work today. I don't want to talk to anybody today. Well, kids can't do that. They can't do that. If you're having a bad day with your spouse and you're going through a dissolution of marriage, you can say, I want to talk to my counselor. I want to talk to my mom. I want to talk to my friends. I want to sleep.
Right.
A kid can't do that. They have to be directed to this cafeteria. They have to sit next to a person who their family may be okay. They may have went to Epic and now they realize, hey, I'm different. Hey, this is not the same. And they're what I call a captive audience. They can't move anywhere. I don't know if people remember being a kid is hard.
Yeah, you got to sit still, don't talk.
You got to sit there. Well, not even that you don't talk. You have to sit around people that you may not want to sit around. You have to hear their stories. You may not be in a mode or a mean to hear that, I don't know, Charlie's dad is picking him up when you know your dad isn't picking you up.
Right.
You may not want to hear about an amazing Disney activity when your parents are struggling emotionally. And that's what your kids have to do every single day. When your kid comes home and you say, how was your day? And they say, it was okay. No, a lot of stuff happened in that day. A lot of stuff happened in that week. We're talking 40 hours a week they're at school.
Yeah.
If they go to an after school program, that means 50 hours sometimes a week. And so that is hard for me. It's hard for me to see parents in an emotional state and not being able to see past that for their children. And that's a very hard place to be in. Mm-hmm. So in a family setting, I guess that would be very difficult for me, because I am all about children, all about kids, because they have no voice. I call it like baby jail. Like, depending on who your warden is,
right?
You might be good, you might be bad. You had no say so, you had no choice. And then in criminal, I would say a hard part of my day is being able to do that balance, being able to hopefully punish or give out a sentence that is going to be fitting, mm-hmm. just, and something that's going to be able to rehabilitate. And I think people forget about that.
The rehabilitation?
The rehabilitation portion of that is where that happens in the jail, right? I don't have anything to do with that. But being able to have a program or a plan in mind that that person is going to be rehabilitated. When you see a criminal, you see that person pretty much at their low point, but that doesn't define them. And I tell people that all the time.
Right.
Your action doesn't define you. That was something that took place. You have to be accountable of that, right? The accountability is there, but that doesn't define you. And so for me in criminal, it's hard to make sure that I am weighing everything out. And so I would say that would be the hardest portion in both of those divisions. And then obviously, once you go to different divisions, new problems or new experiences that are hard in nature do arise.
Wow, that's a lot. I mean, I guess, on the outside looking in, we watch court, and, when you are in front of a judge, you're just thinking of you, and as we are, I'm in here for a traffic ticket. Oh, my goodness. What? I got to pay this. And I have a story, but I'm not going. It's too much for this. But let me try to make it short. Basically, the judge told me that I had to write a letter to the court telling them why I did what I did, and I had to pay the fine. But the gist of it was I was sitting in my car in front of my house, and the cops came up, and it was like, well, you're in a parked car, and you haven't, and I just moved, so my information wasn't changed over. And I just went in. I'm like, dude, I'm in my car. Like, what are you doing? So I had to basically apologize to the court. With that being said, judges, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know what their life is, but it is a job. And the mere fact that you're doing it with the thought process of, for their rehabilitation, for their better. This is just your moment. This is not your livelihood. I mean, not livelihood like that, but this is not your extension. You can change this moment into something better. I commend you for that, because you hear on the TV a lot, this judge did this judge did that, and it's just not a judge thing. It's a everybody thing. But the judicial system is so broad, and you've explained that you went from being an attorney to now a judge, and the different decisions. So then I'm thinking okay, when you have the police, and the police says, well, you're arrested, and now you get arrested and you got to go get you an attorney. That's you missed the police part, but you at the attorney part, and now we got to turn it to the attorney, and the attorney say, okay, now you're on trial. Now you're at that stage. How does that work, being on trial? For someone, you're the judge, and I'm sure because you said your history, I'm sure you see yourself as that lawyer defending that person, and then you also seeing yourself that you are now the judge. How do you, I don't know if word mimic, but how does that surrealness comes into play?
I don't even see it.
What?
So as a judge, it's a total different realm. And so I'm not biased. I don't look at either of those things. I think that to be a great judge, you have to be able to be non-biased. And so I see two attorneys that are doing and advocating for their clients. I don't look at one attorney better or one position better than the next. What I am focusing on is that defendant, or that state of Florida, or that mother, or that father, or that extended family member. And so neither one of those are my concern. My concern is making sure that I listen to both sides, hear what they're advocating for, making good decisions. If we have a jury trial, which we'll talk about hopefully soon, making sure that I am. So in a criminal case, the judge doesn't decide the trial.
Oh, really?
The jury decides the trial. The judge gives the punishment or what.
Explain. No, get in deep into that. Dive into this. I want to know this. Please explain this. So the judge does not
I don't determine if someone is
Okay.
So there's two different types of trials, right? There is a trial by jury, and then there's a
Okay.
bench trial.
Oh.
A trial by jury means a civil case, like if you got in an accident, you can have a person determine if someone was at fault for hitting you.
Okay.
But the judge determines how much money you would get.
Ah.
So the judge is never going to say if what happened, the facts of the case. For example, in a criminal case, the judge doesn't determine whether or not you raped the person. The judge doesn't determine whether or not you murdered the person. The jury does. The jury goes back, unanimously decides that verdict. What the judge does at that stage, the judge is the person that keeps control of the courtroom. Mm-hmm. The judge is procedurally the person that makes sure that all the arguments are heard. The judge gives instructions to the jury, but the judge decides the punishment. So if the jury comes back not guilty, nothing for me to decide. Everyone have a great day. If the jury comes back and says guilty, and there's what we call a jury form that has what they chose, what the jury and the foreman decides to pick, what if they're guilty, if they're lesser included.
Right.
I then decide the punishment. So there's something called minimum mandatories in the state of Florida, which some crimes come with a minimum sentence that you have to have this. And then the judge can decide after that more
Or less.
well, not necessarily less, sometimes an alternative. But that's what the judge does. So I decide the punishment. And I always tell the jurors and people who are like, well, I don't want to be a juror. I don't go to jury duty because that's a lot for me. I don't want to have to decide someone's fate.
Yes.
You're never deciding anyone's fate. You just say what you believe and then you go home. The judge gives out the years or the probation or whatever that may be.
Right.
The judge is taking all of that. I tell them I have a super black robe and all of those things stick to me. All the
Yes.
emotions stick to me. That's why I ran for an election. That's why I sit with the black robe. That weight of the robe is heavy, but that weight is mine alone.
So let's go back into the jury duty. So I am that person. I get that little thing in the mail. I'm like, oh, let me see what's on here that I can check off so I ain't got to come sit in this goddamn.
You're killing me, August.
I'm not going to lie. I have done it. Let me not say that too loud because I don't want the people to come after me. But I have done it. But let me say this, since our conversations,
Good.
I am now more like, I know, right? Do it again. Listen, for real. Like, and you know, my son just turned 18 and he was like, so Mom, am I going to have to do jury duty? I'm like, I can tell you how to get out of it, but
No, yes, you will have to do jury duty. You will have to do jury duty and you will have to do jury duty. That is my passion, guys. Jury duty is the most, so especially in the African American community.
Yes.
We go out and we protest and we advocate, but then we don't go to jury duty locally. That's where you can make the most difference. The people, right? Your peers.
Right.
Jury is supposed to be when you are in a crime and you go to trial, you're supposed to be in a room full of your peers. But if your peers aren't coming to jury duty, then you may be in a room of people who don't look like you.
Right.
You may be in a room of folks that may not have some historical experiences that you may have had. So I need everyone to come to jury duty. It is the most, first of all, it's your civic duty.
Yeah.
But not only that, it is a direct impact. You can make a direct impact that day.
Mm-hmm.
That day, for just showing up, you can make that direct impact. And so I empower everyone to go to jury duty. It's the most impactful thing that you can do right away. You don't have to wait for the law to change. You don't have to wait for anything. You can make a difference in someone's life right then and there. And maybe that's for the victim. Right. Maybe that's for the defendant, but you are making a difference either way. And man, African Americans, we need you. Women, we need you.
Yes.
People in the Hispanic community, we need you. People of color, we need you.
yeah.
Thank you. We need you. We need you.
So what she's saying
If I don't have
is-
any jurors, I don't have a trial.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, the jury is the person that decides the facts of the case. So if there is no juror, I don't decide the facts of the case.
Right.
I give the punishment, right? I give what happens afterwards. And punishment
yeah.
it may not be the best word to use, but I give the sentencing.
The sentencing.
There
okay.
you go. It's a better
it's
word.
punishment. Let's just keep it a buck. They said she tell y'all got to go to prison for the next 10 years. That's punishment. No light, right? No good TV. You got to share a toilet with about 5 people. I mean, I don't know. I ain't never been in jail, but just listen. It's a punishment. However you want to swing it, it's punishment. So the jury part. Well, I never looked at it like that. I never looked at it that for someone. And I had spoke with a counselor not too long ago, which. Hopefully we'll get him on the show. But he was telling his part of it from being an attorney. You know, if he has somebody there on trial and he has to go and pick a juror, and let's say this person was a drug dealer. You know, not saying everybody's a drug dealer, but if you have someone who can't relate, how does that look? Now, I'm not no drug dealer. I don't think I know any drug dealers. But if you know what it's like for their, like from where they've come from, you can probably relate more. I'm not saying that you're going to give them as a juror, I'm not going to give them an excuse, but I can kind of understand, okay, so your mama got about 12 kids and she pregnant now and you ain't got nothing but some, some oodles and noodles, one splitting between 6 kids. I can see why you want to sling a little crack here and there, maybe. But I can, I could probably give them a more sound decision. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be like, you ain't got a job.
And the reality is that it's not, and people used to tell me that all the time when I was running. Oh, just because you're black, do you think that the law is the law? And I agree. Diversity is a cherry on top, right? Of course you have to know that. I used to tell people all the time, of course you have to know the law. Of course you have to be sound mind. Of course you have to have integrity. Of course you have to have compassion. Those things are like what I call foundational, right? Everybody should have that. Having a different cultural background, having a different gender, that just adds a cherry on top of the cupcake. It is not the cupcake, right? You don't have to be African American. You don't have to be Hispanic. You don't have to be Asian. You don't have to be a person of color to do the job. As a matter of fact, the law has no color. Lady Justice is blind.
Yeah.
However, to have different experiences, it is helpful so that you can have those tools in your toolbox to aid the community. I do it very often. I just met with a organization that helps quadriplegics. And the reason why I did that is because I had a family that I was making a plan for. They had a dissolution of marriage, but one of the children had a diving accident and became paralyzed,
disabled,
right? We're all just, by the way, we're all one call, one accident away from life-changing events. So we should all be humble every day, because in 1 minute, your life can change. In 1 minute, your children's life can change, your spouse's life can change. So don't ever forget that. You wake up and you're thankful. You're thankful for your health. You're thankful just to be alive, because there's some folks who had an accident that changed their life. And so being able to say, hey, I know a place that could help. Hey, I know a place that is just for grieving parents when your parents unfortunately pass away or someone close to you. I know somewhere where kids can go, New Hope, that is just for them. Having tools in your toolbox, and that's the way I see diversity. I see diversity as just a cherry on top of the cupcake, a little something special. It is not the cupcake. It is not the foundation. It's not the sugar. It's not the flour. It is just an extra additive. And I believe that is very helpful when we talk about jurors.
Right.
Can you change the law? No. Is a woman going to be different from a man? No. But a woman may have different experiences in her life that would aid that jury behind closed doors when making decisions. And I think that's important to say.
So let me ask you this. So jury, they do their part. Is there ever a point where you as the judge say, man, why you felt a different way from the jury's decision, but you have to give out the punishment or the sentencing in reference to their decision?
I always say that our system of justice is an amazing system. And so if the jurors came up with what they came up with, I always remind people that it has to be unanimous. And so one juror could have thought something else, but when they were in that room and they were all talking, they all have to come up with one unanimous decision.
Right.
And so, to be very honest, again, I'm neutral. Whatever the jury comes up with, that's what it is. However, on the punishment or the sentencing side, that's when I'm able to look at the facts of the case. That's when I'm able to say, look at the age of the person. I'm able to say, okay, well, this is a person under 21. There may be some deferences for that person because they are a child. Their pituitary gland's not fully formed. They're making some decisions. I'm able to look at their score sheet or other things that have been surrounding, and that's what the judge is able to do.
Okay.
So the judge is able to look at different aspects that have taken place in the case. The judge is able to use her or his own way of how the case was presented and some of the facts, and that's the way that judge comes up with the punishment or the sentencing. Okay. And I keep saying punishment because it's an easier word for people to understand,
right? But
that is synonymous for sentencing.
Listen, I use words all the time that people don't like because I make up my own words, so I like punishment. So behind the judge, behind the heavy robe, how does when that heavy robe comes off, and I know you said you're a mother, you're a Christian, all that, what are you after that?
Oh, I have fun.
I know that's right.
I'm still young. I still have fun. I'm just a normal person, I guess. Now, I don't have fun in my own town.
No, that's right.
have fun other places, just because as a judge, all eyes are always on you, right? Because you are giving out sentences. Exactly. And so now people are looking at you like, well, I hope that person is all that she's saying. I hope that's all things that she's doing as well, right?
Right.
So I'm a regular person. I like to hang out. I like to do fun things. I hang out with my friends. I don't know.
So as a mom, because you're a mom of your beautiful kids, how do you see the world now with being on that bench? I don't know what y'all, 40, 80, 60 hours a day. How do you see life for your children in the future, or not even the future now, from being on that bench? Do you feel like life could be better or worse? Do you feel like you're making a difference? How do you, I guess, instill in them to not be on the other side?
Well, I can tell you that a lot of things happen to be on that other side. There's a lot of circumstances that people have experienced when they're on that other side. And so sometimes you have to give people grace. You have to be understanding about the times that we have a lot of people in Orange and Osceola County that have mental health issues. And so just giving people grace. Sometimes you got to give folks grace. But as far as my children are concerned, I did have a baby on the bench.
Yes.
And so I think that was pretty cool.
Right. We got to clap it up for that there.
Did.
For you to be, explain baby on the bench to people who don't know what baby on the bench means. Explain that.
So in our county, we probably had maybe 3 judges that have had a baby being on the bench, and that's just because of the age of the women that are on as judges, right? So I'm a very young judge, and so a lot of younger judges. I think we've had a couple of them. We're having more and more young judges. I got pregnant and I had my baby and I was a judge. Now this is different because my year, which was 2 years ago when I had the child, we did not have a maternity anything in the Ninth Circuit and in the state of Florida. And so it was really a big deal for me to really hopefully advocate for a maternity. We didn't have anything. So as an elected official, you don't get maternity leave.
I guess I see why, but still you should.
You definitely should. I felt like I have to use my apps. I felt like I was getting punished for having a baby.
Right.
And so the Supreme Court at that time, and I really believe that the committee chair was Supreme Court Justice Grosshans, they came up with a program for us. We got 9 weeks that we were to be able to have a maternity. We would have, the chief judge would have to now find us someone to cover for us, because that was now on the judges. The judges before me, they had to come up with their own people to cover for them. They had to use some of their own vacation time if they wanted longer periods. And then we didn't have that anymore. And so now statewide, we have a maternity program for the judicial branch of government here in the state of Florida. And I am so proud of that. I am so proud because we are
Yes.
having younger people having these jobs now. It's not
Yeah.
just older, the older generation who are becoming judges. It's young people under 40, 35, 36. At the time when I was elected, I was the youngest woman judge in the Orange and Osceola County. We have to have more programs that entice the young people to want to do this job. And so I was really proud of the Florida Supreme Court that boasts 3 women, 1 Caucasian, 1 Hispanic, and 1 African-American woman. All of them at that time were under the age of 45. I was super proud
Yes,
to be a part of that
congratulations.
system here in Florida, where we are putting the availability of women to have children and men, right? But it didn't just go to women, also men. If you have a child on the bench, I know that
Yeah.
a colleague of mine, he also had a child on the bench too, that he could take off and be with the family and have some type of paternity a time with the children. So it was pretty exciting at that time, and that's what it was. And now that she is a toddler, one of the rules that we have, and my children, as soon as they came, they will tell you, be safe. And I never really had that before being a judge because I see it all. I mean, I hear it all and
Yes.
see it
I
all.
know you do.
I see the world in a more vulnerable state. And I am more sensitive in nature to what's going on. Like I was telling the producer of the show, when I come in, I'm always looking around. Where's the exits? Where is the room? Where can I leave? If there's a crowded place, I sometimes don't go just because I've seen so many things that can
Right.
take place in those types of rooms. And so I am more aware of my surroundings than I've ever been before. And I can say that has a direct effect of me being a judge.
Wow. So with that being affecting you that way, and you're now you change the way you kind of see life or
Yes.
see the safety aspect of it. Do you feel like judges get a bad rap, or do you feel like you guys don't get enough respect as being a judge?
I think people respect judges. I think that they're not happy with their rulings. I think
Yeah,
that they're
it's-
not happy sometimes with maybe what that judge did, or maybe they could have, but I think that for the most part, I've never had an issue of people not respecting the judge. I have people saying that they disagreed with their opinions or their rulings. And so in the Ninth Circuit, I think we do an amazing job. I think we have a very good core of judges. I'm very proud to have them be my colleagues. And so from my perspective, I think we have a very, very good and sound judges. And if you don't, then this is a system of vote them out,
Right.
hire, and pick someone else. And that's something that's big in a community. Again, many people do not vote in the August elections, which
ooh.
are the most important election. That's your local people. I'm going to vote for the president. I'm going to vote for the governor. Those are amazing, and you should. I'm big on exercising votes, just as I'm big on jury duty. However, don't skip your own local election. Don't forget about the sheriff. That is now going to be, we're talking about those things. Well, the sheriff is the direct person that's going to deal with how you interact and how the community interacts with the police, how they are the voice of the system. And
Right.
don't forget to vote for that person. Don't forget to vote for your county commissioners who are developing programs for you and your individual districts and your individual counties. Don't forget to vote for your judges who are making all the decisions. Forget criminal, probate, wills, trust, traffic, business court.
Wow.
I mean, these are the people who are making really big decisions, and people think of judges, they immediately think of, well, I don't get in trouble. Well, do you have a business? Because your
Right.
partner may have taken half of your money and went to, I don't know,
Cancun.
somewhere, right? You're going to have to come to court. What about, unfortunately, if someone passes in your family and they didn't have a will? Well, you're going to be in probate court. What happens if you have you're fighting a will, right? You're disputing that will. That
Yeah.
person was mentally incapacitated, you believe, when grandma signed the will, and you don't believe that that was right. You're going to be in court for that. What about dissolution of marriages? Unfortunately, if you're divorced. What about temporary custody? If you're a grandma
Wow.
now taking over for your loved one who is no longer able to do that. What about drug court? What about veterans court? What about, I mean, there's just so many aspects of court that is not just criminal in nature. The Orange County Courthouse boasts 23 floors. Right? There's so many other things
Right.
than just what about juvenile? Unfortunately, You know, if your kid is under the age of 18 and they run into some trouble and they're going through some things, you're not going to go to the adult court system. You're not going to see a criminal judge. You're going to go to the juvenile courthouse on Michigan.
I forgot about that place. Yeah.
So it's just so many different facets. It's not just, I don't get in trouble.
Right.
It's criminal is the only place. Traffic court there.
Well, we know
child support court.
I know about traffic and child support, so I know
all
about
of those
too.
things.
Them two I know about.
Right.
Them too. So it is,
and your traffic court is a hearing officer, right? Child support, they're going to be hearing officers. When you get those orders, you'll see a report and recommendation, but a child support is a hearing officer. They're not a judge. Okay. They get hired where the people elect the county judges and your circuit judges, your traffic judges. That's something that it's like a job. Like they interview different
you get
people,
the position.
apply.
I need one of them judges. Right. I mean, one of them jobs. Let me be a hearing officer.
Right.
They got to open it. I can. Yep. You got to go pay that. Send them back. Let me stop.
Mediation as well.
Oh.
Sometimes everything doesn't go to court. Sometimes you mediate, right? If you have a foreclosure, you may not be going to court.
Right.
You may be going through a mediation process where they're talking it through, and then you guys are both signing papers. And I empower anyone. A mediator is a great job to have. You take a class, and you can be an arbitrator or mediator. We need mediators in family. We need mediators in civil. Before you can even see a judge, you have to go through mediation. So imagine how many mediations are taking place, right?
Wow. This right here, this conversation has my head just like opened up. I've never, first of all, I'm not a political person. I just, that's just something that I just don't get into, which we all should actually as citizens. But the judicial system is, you've explained so much, is so wide, it's so big. I mean, I never knew some of the things like Veterans Court. I wouldn't have known about that. But that goes back to if it doesn't affect you, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Why would I know?
Right.
But in hindsight, I guess we should know because, like you said, your life can change at the split of a second. I've seen it changes in plenty of people's lives. So I am thankful that you're here. I'm thankful that you have enlightened me on all this information. So my question would be...
And having tools in your toolbox.
yeah.
Again, it may not be you, but you may know someone and say, hey,
say it again.
Go to Veterans Court. Hey, your son has never gotten in trouble? Then make sure that you're talking to a public defender about pretrial diversion so they don't have anything on their record. Hey, you don't have a will? Get a will.
Right.
Everybody should have... Get a will. Get a will. I don't know where the cameras are in here, but get a will. Get a will. Oh, I don't have a lot. Get a will. Small things. Don't leave for your family to have to figure out what your password is to your phone so they can go get your bank account information. Right. Don't have things available so that you are leaving it easy for your legacy.
Right. Wow. Get a will.
Get a will.
My parents have one. I don't have one, but my parents sure have one. With that being said, where do you want to leave your legacy? Where does your legacy leaves?
Well, I know that I have, that God is not through with me. And so I'm excited to see the next chapters that he has for me over my life. But I guess I would like to leave a legacy of betterment.
Right.
My parents used to always teach me, leave wherever you are better than you found it. And that's what I want to do. Right. I want to leave everything better than I found it. And so if that is in the judicial branch, I want to make sure that I'm empowering the next group. As the first African-American woman to win a contested race, I am super proud to say that we have 2 more African-American women that have come after the year of 2020. I believe, and legacy is not just you, it is who are you pulling up? Who are you providing for? And so it's not just my legacy. I want to make sure that my legacy continues, but also brings up people so that they can also feel that they can do it, that they can be the first at something that they want to be able to do. If you don't see it there, that doesn't stop. Don't just stop. That doesn't mean it's over. And I want my legacy to always be about the betterment of the community, advocating for people who may not have the ability to advocate for themselves.
Right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna one last thing. how's your election? Is there an election coming up? Do I need to go vote? Do I need to move to Orange County? I'm just saying, like, what do I need to do? What do I need to do?
Well, judges run every 6 years. They're up for an election every 6 years, which is very important to know, right? Because your governors are 4 years, your commissioners or your state representatives maybe less than that, but your judges are 6 years.
Okay.
And so
6 years.
ran in 2020, and so in 2026, I would be up for a re-election. And so if you see my name on a ballot somewhere, make sure you are voting for Mikaela Nix. I am super excited to
But
be
you put that
in
name
that
on the screen. Put the
re-election.
name up there so y'all can spell it right. Spell it right.
Very short, Nix, very short name. I am the incumbent, and I want to let people know what that word means if you see it on an election ballot. Incumbent means that person is the person that's sitting in the seat currently. And so you can have an open seat. That means that neither person is a judge, and they're running in that seat, so you won't see something that denounces that they're an incumbent. The word incumbent just means that person is already being there. You're re-electing them. If that's what the residents of Orange and Osceola shall see my future in. And I believe that I've done an amazing job. I believe that I have done things where people are proud. And I have been very proud of the last 6 years. I've been very proud of myself. I've been very proud of the decisions that I've made. And I've been very proud of the parenting plans and that I've put together for the best interest of the children. And so I believe that I will continue to be a successful judge. I believe I will continue to be a people's judge. And I believe that that's important for the residents of Orange and Osceola County. So if you see my name on a ballot, make sure that you are voting. And more importantly, come out and vote for your local election. August should be the biggest election. To me, the August election should be bigger than the presidential election because those are the things that affect you on a day-to-day basis. How high your water bill is going to be. That's your mayors. That's your county commissioners, right? What advocates your laws? Well, that's your state representatives that are going out and advocating for you. So Mikaela Nix. And then some people will say, well, I see Judge Nix Walker. What is that? Well, I got married. And I
took her man's name. Her man's.
My husband's last name. But you will see on the ballot Mikaela Nix.
Listen, so how do I support Mikaela Nix?
So one thing that you can do is that you can invite people to come to the courthouse.
Really?
Like if you have small groups, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, small groups, the courthouse is an amazing place for young people. Use me. I say I'm an elected official, but I'm your elected official, right? And especially in the African-American community where we may not have as many judges. If it wasn't for a judge who took me into the back of their chambers and talked to me, and I wouldn't necessarily probably be a judge. I wouldn't have had that one-on-one experience. I want to give people the one-on-one experience. And so if you have a child or a group, please bring them out. Elevate Orlando, I'm going to give a little shout out to them. Elevate Orlando comes to my courtroom every year, and I put together a mock trial for them. And it is so fun. So fun. We have judges. I have a judge there. I have a lawyer. The public defender's office comes and helps me. The state attorney's office comes and helps me. But a courthouse and this might be a plug for someone who's looking for some type of job.
Yeah, that's me.
The courthouse isn't just lawyers, right? We need, if you speak a different language, there is a whole division for translators. They make a lot of money. The interpreters make great money, and you can do it virtual. Because remember, I told you that hearings are happening virtual now. So if you speak Creole, if you speak Spanish, if you speak Russian, if you speak Chinese, if you speak Japanese, we need you. That's a job. You go to the Ninth Circuit, you go to the HR page. There's so many jobs. If you say that I'm good in computers, well, we run one of the biggest audio and visual departments ever. We need help in that. If you say, well, I am HR, do you know how many people we employ? If you say that I am interested in something else, those are going to be important things for you.
So, look, we got the baby. Say hi.
Give me 1 minute. Right there, John.
So,
right,
as you see, she is a mom. So, being a mom, you wear many hats. See, that keeps us grounded. And kids, listen, boy, I got an 18-year-old, and I just know that boy make me want to. Anyways, but being a mom and a judge, does that go hand in hand?
It's hard. I'm not gonna lie, but it's just hard just to be a mom. It's just hard to be a mom. Shout out to all the moms. Drop the bomb on that. All the moms out there, man. You do it. I mean, we do it.
Yes.
And so, dads, we have to have both.
Yeah.
But
definitely.
moms, they carry a lot of hats, and they do a lot of things. And so I'm very active in my children's schools, sitting on PTAs and things like that. So it can be a lot to handle it all. But I do think that a shout out to my husband, because he definitely helps out.
Yes.
And making my life a little easier. But also having a schedule. I'm big on schedules. I'm big on goals. And I'm big on women taking the time out. And I did this for Miss August, to say, hey,
Yes.
I need a break too. And a break is not working on your passion. That is what you do for your passion. A break is truly a break. Something that is separate from your passion, something that is separate from your job, something that is separate from your husband, something that is separate from your children, something that is separate from your parents, something that is separate from if caregivers, something that is separate and just for you. It doesn't have to be a long period of time, but it needs to happen.
Thank you for that. I really thank you so much for taking out your time. I know this is your mom day. You bring the babies in and sitting here and giving us an education. When I say I'm so humbled and appreciative to you, and you are so avid in the community, I will support you any way that I can. Ladies and gentlemen, Circuit Court Judge Mikaela Nix in the building here at Just Being August.
Thank you so much for having me. This
been a
is
pleasure.
everybody's auntie, but she's my auntie.
Hey. So with that being said, before I go, I have to put this out there. If y'all know, I am here in Orlando, at the Podcast Doctor. This episode is being sponsored by the Podcast Doctor, Mr. Phil Bird. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm finna be sappy. I'm never sappy. But if you don't know, Phil is at stage, and Phil, you can chime in anytime. He is at stage 5 kidney disease. And we're putting together, I orchestrated it. I took it over. I sure did. I was like, Phil, this is what we're going to do. No. And there's 2 lovely ladies, Nora and Amanda. We are putting together this gala for Phil July the 11th, and more details are to come. But we are avidly looking for him a living donor kidney. So it's called Kidney for Phil. So it's going to be, I don't know if you can put it up there, Phil. Look at you. So Kidney for Phil, help save his life, be his lifeline. Ladies and gentlemen, you go to kidneyforphil.com. We love you, Phil, and we're just all going to here to support him. So we're going to do this gala. We're going to have donor cards to see if you can be a match. I'm not a match, because my kidney ain't, my kidney can't, I don't think he would want this kidney. This kidney done been through hell and back. I ain't got no sense. But no.
I'm sorry, I feel.
I'm sorry, Phil. My bad. If I could give you my kidney, I swear on life, I would literally give you my kidney.
I know you would.
But baby, the way this kidney been set up through some brown liquor and stuff back in the day.
I'm done. I'm done.
Thank you, August.
No, but for real. Oh, sorry. Hey, it's Just Been August show. They don't know anything can happen here. But no, seriously, that's just one I want to give a plug. Thank you again, Judge, for being here. You look so beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you for being in our community. And that's it, y'all.
Wait.
Oh, wait a minute.
Before we end, health is wealth. You can be the richest person, but if you don't have your health, you are broke. Health is wealth. Take care of yourself, take care of your body, take care of your mind, and the rest will follow. Phil, I'm praying for you. Thank you very much for having me on your show today. You've been an amazing producer from the beginning I walked in. Guys, you don't know how much stuff happens. I didn't even know how much stuff happens behind the scenes. And these 2 individuals today have made me feel so welcomed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. I appreciate you. And thank you for taking out your time.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here on the Power Influence Radio. Every 2nd and 4th Thursday, y'all, Just Being August. I am what? your host, Auntie August. And with that being said, hey, y'all, it takes one heartbeat, and I've given y'all my one heartbeat. Phil, you get my one heartbeat moment for today.
All right.
All right, y'all be easy. Bye.